Matt here today, and today we are going to explore a underused tool in my opinion. I've only really seen them a lot in the construction industry, and that is the chalk line. These are one of the most underrated tools, I personally think, because it is also one of the most useful tools. I use it all the time, even in just like a wood shop. The chalk line, really simple device. There's only really three parts to it. You've got your housing, which every one of them has a different way to load. This one, really simple. Got a little door, open it up, pour your chalk in, close the door. That's simple. You've got your string inside, and the string can be different lengths, and it's got a hook on it. That's about it. It's not that complicated. And you've got your winder. And this is what, when you're winding in the chalk, what you use. That's about it. The only big thing I want to mention, especially when you're buying a brand new chalk line, or if you are changing the color, number one, what I always recommend is getting a buddy to pull it out as far as you can, add the new chalk, and wind it up. The reason for that is very simple. The first time the chalk touches the string, it doesn't get really saturated, I found, so I like to unwind as much of the string as I can, put the new chalk in, or if it's a new chalk line, just to get some chalk in there, and then wind it up nice and tight. And what will that do is it'll saturate the string. So as soon as the string is pulled out and it's being pulled through the chalk, you get a nice clear line. And yeah, that's about it. This is not a complicated device, and that was the whole point of this. It's underrated. The first thing we're gonna do is go over why is the chalk line such a useful tool? Well, it's actually incredibly simple. Number one, the chalk line is as long as you have string. So it doesn't matter how long your object is. And da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It'll be good. The other part is, if we take a look, we have a 4-foot level and a standard carpenter's right in front of me. Now this 4-foot level is super useful, but let's be honest, it's only 4 feet. Now for a lot of things that might be great. The problem is, depending how, and there are people who can draw amazing lines and all that, but you're clamping it down, there can be some movements when you're drawing a line. Now, the other thing is, with the carpenter's square, is I hook in here. Yes, I have a good straight line. What if it's past there? What we have to do then is line up the edge with a line. It's not gonna be absolutely perfect, but it's gonna be good. When it comes to something though that you need a finer detail or a line, chalk line's gonna go the entire length, snap the line, boom, you got a perfectly straight line. That is the reason I prefer to use the chalk line over these two devices. Now, another thing, if we take a look at the chalk line right here, a lot of the time it does come with blue. Now, blue, awesome. It doesn't stain, it isn't as messy, it's not as strong when you're trying to look at it in my mind. I always replace mine with red. I prefer red, that's about it. You can also get black and probably every other color under the sun. It's just colored chalk. Okay, let's go over the very basics on why chalk lines are so easy. What I'm about to show you can be done with any range of longer pieces of wood. This is just how to use it. First thing, what you want to do is make your marks. So I'm going to mark, and keep in mind, make sure your tape measure is pulled fully. I'm going to mark at 6 inches. Now, the one thing with a chalk line is, because we're pulling on the edge, you want to make sure you're a little further in. So I'm just going to pull on here, put a nice easy mark right there, and there we have our 2 marks. Next thing, make sure your chalk line is full of the chalk you want to use. I always just give this a little glove tap. What I'm going to do is hook this in. I'm going to leave the arm up here, and I'm going to kind of eyeball where it is, because what I don't want is I don't want the chalk line touching until I am happy where it is. As I'm slowly lowering the chalk line into place, I'm watching my 2 points. Next thing I do is I pull my string tight, and voila. It looks like I filled my chalk line a little too much, but we have a nice easy line to cut. Okay, so you're gonna see one of the most glaring negatives from that last little clip there, which is why I think most people avoid the chalk line, which is very simple. It's messy. I was not too smart. I actually filled it before we started. So you can see a lot of chalk coming out. especially with the red or black, which is one reason why the blue is a little nicer. It's less messy and it doesn't stain as much. So while the chalk line is very useful, just keep in mind it is messy. If anything you're using isn't going to be wiped down or need to be cleaned, red and black do stain a little with certain types of woods or stuff. So just keep that in mind. The blue does stain too, just not to the same degree. So what I'm trying to say is, very simply, it does leave a lot of dust. It is messy, but it also works amazing. You can just see my hands on the table, and yeah, you can kind of put a bunch of the pieces together. If you want, you could actually even mark your corners on here, and we can go corner to corner, pull, and you have a nice, easy line. Let's say you're trying to chalk line a 4x8 sheet of plywood and you can't line up the other end. What you can do, and why this is so open, is you can put a screw where you need to, and that's awesome because all I can do, hook this into here, and I can pull my line, and as soon as I pull down tight, we can load it up. And so I'm gonna just pull my finger tight, go through my second line, and we have a nice clean line once again. That's it. This is a really simple tool. Chalk line, super easy, which is why this is just a short little clip. And I'm gonna start doing more of those small tools that might be laying around your house that you don't know much about and you should be using. Well, if you like this video, hit the like button on the video. It helps us out. If you like just the idea of the channel and different projects, different how to use stuff, and I guess with a little bit of a comedic flair in there, well, if Ryan's involved, it's always more of a grumbling flair. We'll leave at that point. But what I'm trying to say is, if you want to see more content from us, hit the subscribe button. It really helps us out. If you have any ideas, if you have comments below, leave them there. What am I going to say? Well, it's Matt from The Random Maker. Until next time, let's get making.